All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Faces of Business. I'm Damon Pistolka, your host, and with me I have Adam Linnemann from the Green Executive and Linnemann Lawn Care and Landscaping. Now I got to make sure I got that right. Lawn Care and Landscaping. Yes, I did. Adam, awesome to have you here today, man.
Damon, thanks for having me on the show this afternoon, or actually getting close to evening for me here. I'm on Central Time, so
Yep.
I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Because we connected through Thane Isaacs, and actually, I'm gonna be probably seeing him here when we get done here. But and then we started talking, and the thing that I really love about the Green Executive and what you're doing there is you're using profit first, and I think we'll talk about that a little bit. But let's get a little bit into your background and kind of how you got where you are today and just give
Absolutely.
us a little idea of that.
Sure. So I kind of grew up in a family of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
My grandmother, who I was telling you about just a little bit ago before we went live here, she's 94 years old. And I don't know the exact date, but I'm sure it was like in the late 20s, early 30s. Um, she and her husband opened up a full service gas station that is actually still in operation today, to where
Oh
you can
my.
go there and they will pump your gas for you.
Oh
It is
my.
now being run not by my grandmother, who's 94, but by my cousin, who is running the gas station. So entrepreneurship's always been inside the family. Um, Through high school, I started my business at the age of 14 years old with a push mower, riding lawnmower in a wagon, and grew my business, my landscaping business, to where it is today. With in our peak season, we've had up to 25 team members working for us at one time, and have been dispatching 8-9 crews on any given day to go out and service properties and do design build landscape installs.
Wow. That's really cool, man. That's really cool. So did you get into landscaping kind of by accident then because you're in high school or whatever and it was just a way to make money in the summers and you're like, wow, maybe I can do this full time. Or what or
Yeah,
what really
it,
triggered that?
I think so. My father had a asphalt business, so I helped him at a young age.
Mhm.
And gosh, I know. I mean, I was probably 11, 12 years old, but it was definitely just getting the idea of making extra money mowing grass in the neighborhood, to where I lived. And when I started realizing, hey, one lawn is 15, $20 at the time, right? Because we're talking 27, 28 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, Two lawns 50. If I can do four lawns in a day, it's $100. And so it got to the point to when I was in my senior year of school, I bought my first brand new pickup truck, which is a 2000 350, paid for it in cash, and was making more of an income at the time than what my father was, full-time works employee for the city of Columbus, Illinois.
Wow. Yeah.
So it just kind of spiraled there, and grew the business up to, like I mentioned,
Yeah.
8-9 crews. And I love making money. I love being outside and talking with people, clients, making them happy, turning projects into reality for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the one nice thing about landscaping is it is so evident when a project is done. I mean, I don't think you
Yeah,
can do landscaping work and not just stand back and go, "Wow,
sure.
it's different anyway." Even if you don't like what you did, but it's different and it's done well,
Hmm.
it's evident that something was done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something as simple as just a new mulch, layer
Yep.
put down makes such a big difference, and really sets off at a house.
That is for sure. That is for sure. So in your business now, are you doing do you do more commercial work than residential or is it a mix of both or
Most of our work is residential. I would probably say it's 80% residential,
okay.
20% commercial mix. And the commercial work that we do perform is for what I consider smaller, kind of mom and pop commercial type properties. Um, we've really back in our service area over the years to try to, maintain our routes, being even more efficient and
Mhm.
close. So even though we are 11 miles south of the St. Louis Arch over in Columbia, Illinois, Yeah, we're just 10 minutes from St. Louis, but our whole county population is only 50,000 people. So we're the dominator here in our county. I like to stay in a small, like I said, area to try to really, use that as a benefit to be profitable and be efficient, and kind of where we've taken the business to where it is today.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. I know that has changed. I mean, just the drive times and things have changed a lot where I live and other metropolitan areas where the traffic gets bad. It's such a different thing when you have people that drive times change from, well, it used to take me 15 or 20 minutes to get someplace, and now it could be 45 if the traffic is bad or something like that. And when you have crews running, the time is money. And every time you're driving, you're not making money. And that's or not the kind of money that you really want to make, where you're making that difference in the appearance. So you've been in the business a while, and let's talk about the Green Executive and where did that come from?
Sure. So back in 2017 is when the Green Executive was formed and started. So I decided at that point in time that the Green Executive was simply going to be a kind of retirement plan. It was going to be a way to slowly transition out of running and owning a landscaping business and be able to offer services, typically to some companies, to help them grow and be more profitable inside their business. So, back in 2017, we formed the Green Executive, and how I position it today is, since my wife works with me in my landscaping business, she also is a partner with me in the consulting firm. And so we're able to bring to particularly landscape business owners, which is kind of our niche focus, all around the country and Canada, ways to be better at business, streamline processes and procedures, be able to provide them with all different types of things, such as ways to be more efficient inside the office, to ways to have a good policy manual for your company, job description, so on. So that was kind of our focus, and it has taken off over the last 4 years like crazy. So it's been really good.
Well, that's cool because, like you said, it started off as a retirement plan, and it really has grown into much more than that. So, what do you think really helped in those efforts to really make it take off like that?
I would say probably out of all the landscaping consultants that are out there in the country, I would say probably what has us being as a better fit for most is that we actually boots in the ground, have real world experience of operating and still owning, and we're at pretty much day-to-day operations of our landscaping business. So we know what it's like, and we have relevant information to be able to share with them and to be able to relate. There's a lot out there that haven't owned this in 20, 30 years. And, you lose that touch and you lose that understanding of what these entrepreneurs are going through businesses today.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I can appreciate that because now, like, even if you wanted to try something new, you can try it yourself first and see how it works, and then apply it with your clients if it works well, and help them to continue their journey and continue their improvement.
Yeah. That's the plan, and that's what works out well for us.
Yeah. Yeah, because everyone wins. Yeah, go ahead.
As one example, we actually use a landscape industry software. It's called LMN, stands for Landscape Management Network, and we use it in our own landscaping business. And how we use that as a way to relate to other people is we offer doing like implementations of that software because we understand it with it day to day. And so right now, my wife is in Virginia for a 3-day site visit, helping a company make that software sing for them. So that's just one way of, trial and error. We know how to use it, and we're able to actually bring that to other landscapers that are wanting to use that as well.
Yeah, that's a great example of what I was thinking, because you're doing it and then you're applying it with your customers, and that is a tremendous example, because when you look at a business management system like that, oftentimes those things are just a money pit, and it's never really gets operating right or to the potential that it could.
Well, and to your point, most of our clients that hire us to come out to make the software sing for them, as we like to say, have had the software from anywhere from 1 to 3 years and never fully implemented it to the full capacity. And so we're able to really tie everything together and relate to them and be able to show them how we're using it to make us more profitable.
And then they get, that's great, because, you know, in a little different setting in the manufacturing where I used to actually be running the businesses, I was part of, I don't know, 6, 7 ERP implementations, and it never really, they never really worked that well until you're in it a while and you're refining and you've got you know, sometimes a few years under your belt with the focus on making that thing work better. Because otherwise it's taking orders and it's invoicing, we're good, you know, or it's doing the financials like you need to, and we're good. And they can do so much more that can help the business if you put them in right.
Sure. And, you know, before we even implemented that, we were using all different types of software. We were using Google Calendar. We were using Google Docs. We were using Excel spreadsheets. And now we're putting everything into one system, but you have to commit to going all in. And sometimes that even means changing the way you do things operationally to make fit for the software, because we often hear sometimes too, this software, whatever it is, whatever brand you're using out there, doesn't do this for us or doesn't do that for us. Well, sometimes you have to kind of let your guard down and be open to a little bit of change to make it work for you, because there isn't one out there that is 100% perfect for everybody, and we know that.
That is an excellent point. And if people should hear that one more time, because no matter what kind of business management software you have, they will not do 100% the way you're doing it now. And you do need to open your mind and go, okay, if it doesn't handle blah, blah, invoicing or job scheduling or time management, whatever, the way you exactly want, take the time to learn how it does, because it could be it could be just as good solution, or B, be a better solution with the integration across the entire platform.
Sure.
And that's a great thing for people to remember. So now, getting into this a little bit further, we started talking about this a while ago, but the Mike Michalowicz, is that how I say his last name? Right?
Mike Michalowicz.
There you go. I can't say it right for 2 times in a row, but he's got a series of books, and this is what really led me to our discussion about what we're going to talk about now. And his books, Profit First and Fix This Next, and some of these other things that the other books he's come out with. You use these books in your practice, and you've gone and actually got certified in the process. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I am a certified profit professional. There's a series of programs that you can go through for certification, and Profit First is generally for accountants, bookkeepers, and coaches. And so you can become certified in that process, or actually a cash flow management methodology. And we teach that now to really specifically landscape business owners, but it applies to all businesses, you know, across all platforms. So it's a great platform. I actually just got back from ProfitCon. I was in New Jersey back on Wednesday through Saturday. And I did not know this, but while we were there, we actually won an award. We were 2021 Profit First Professional Rookie of the Year, and we got this awesome award while we were there. And I guess we're kicking butt and taking names. So I wasn't expecting that. So that was even better to be able to win that.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we're talking about Profit First, and we're talking about what you're helping people implement, I guess, what are some of the key things that you'd like to share about it, that you've learned from it, that you've seen help business owners, or really what you'd like to share about it?
Sure. So I'm very passionate about the program because it's changed my business. As becoming certified, I have to implement it in our own companies as well as have beta companies. But to kind of explain a little bit more about Profit First, so in the generally accepted accounting principles terms, you typically look at your finances as your sales minus your expenses equals your profit.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we say in Profit First is, why should profit be last? Because whatever is last typically becomes insignificant and you don't pay nearly as much attention to it as you should. So all we do is flip the ratio around, or the equation around, and we look at it as sales minus profit equals expenses. So that's how we're looking at it through the Profit First term. And what's really interesting is when we do a Profit First implementation for a business is we actually do a formal assessment. And what's really interesting is, and I didn't understand it until we went through the program and the process of it, but when you look at a profit and loss statement, if you run one out of QuickBooks and you look at that, it oftentimes, it will show you a profit at the end of that statement and what you're actually making. But when we do things in Profit First terms, we actually do it in an accrual basis. We do it in a cash basis. So we do that P&L in a cash basis. And even though it still might say you're making a small or a good profit, that really doesn't mean jack diddly squat, because in Profit First terms, we're looking at cash flow. So you need to also take into consideration your balance sheet. So your liabilities that are in your balance sheet, and you're really looking at your ins and your outs of all your finances.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of how we do that, and if I could explain with some props that I have here.
All right.
I didn't have a silver platter to bring you today, okay? But let's just pretend that this baking sheet here, right, baking pan, is a silver platter. We're at Thanksgiving, and the turkey's on here, all right? If everybody was to turkey out of here and eat, they're probably going to eat a whole lot, similar to like a buffet, and they're going to be really stuffed. They're going to gain a lot of weight, all right? So this is like how people traditionally run their business. They have all their money in this one platter, or as we like to say in Profit First, bank accounts. We use bank accounts, and they're paying themselves out of the platter. They are taking profit out of the platter. They're paying their taxes out of the platter, and they're having all these things that are coming out of this. Well, what we do is we don't use a platter, is we break things down into plates. So now in Profit First is all your money going to one bank account or one plate is your income, okay? And then we take percentages, and I can share those with you, but the percentages kind of change based off of the size of the business.
Yep.
Now the other 4 plates are a profit plate, a tax plate, so you can make sure to pay Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
A owner's pay plate, to where you can make sure the owner is paying himself. And then the last plate is the operating expense plate. All right. And here's where things really get interesting. Now we have this operating expense plate. And what we do is we only have a certain percentage of our income that we have inside this plate or this bank account. And we do something, or we actually talk about something that's called Parkinson's law. And Parkinson's law basically says that when you have a small amount here and you know you can only have this small amount to work with to pay your operating expense, you become innovative and you basically make it work. And the example of that really is like a tube of toothpaste, right? So you might be, put a lot of toothpaste on your toothbrush when you have a brand new tube, but as you continue to use that tube of toothpaste, which might last you a month or two, you're starting to roll up that tube of toothpaste and you're still brushing your teeth. You're becoming innovative. You're still getting that toothpaste out of that tube. And so what we do as certified Profit First professionals is we help you operate your business off of this percentage that you have in this small bank account and make sure your business is running efficiently out of that. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. And it makes a lot of sense, because if you're allocating all the percentages and you've got a book of work to complete and you've got only so much money to do it in, you are going to be a lot more deliberate about where you're spending that money.
Sure. One example, since we have to implement it in our own companies, of some things that we did is, we work with our vendors, right? So One of the things that we have at our consulting business is we actually hire someone to help us with our marketing, do our social media posts and things like that. And what we did is we actually went to our marketer and said, okay, you're charging us X amount of dollars, just for round numbers, let's just say it's $1,000 a month.
Yep.
What would you give us a discount if we were to prepay you 3 months in advance and by check versus by credit card? And that's just one way to be able to work with your vendors to try to get some money. And so she came back and says, we'll give you a 10% discount off of your marketing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one example on that there. Another example might be to work with your vendors. So we always take advantage at our landscaping company of early order programs. So we're ordering our herbicides, pesticides, insecticides for next season right now at huge discounts. And so by leveraging our vendors and negotiating with our vendors to allow us to, we'll commit to the product, but we're going to, number one, get a great deal because we're committing early. And number two, they're going to give us great terms. They're not going to bill us until we actually receive the product. And then they're going to give us 60 or 90 days to pay for it because they know that it takes us 6, 8, 10 weeks to go through each application of our fertilizer program to get through all of our clients. We were able to work it that way. So those are just some examples of being innovative and using and leveraging your vendors to keep expenses under control.
Yeah, and I bet overall, if you employ that, you can drop your expenses by quite a bit.
Yeah. One more example I like to mention would be that years and years we would always give our clients a discount for their service if they were going to prepay us at our landscaping company. Basically prepay in full, right? So like a deadline might be February 15th if they prepay in full for their mowing or for their fertilization. And we would always give them a 5% discount right away. And so another way that we thought of how can we save some money but still get cash flow moving in was we're still providing that discount, but no, we're providing it not initially when they pay, we're providing it back in the form of a gift certificate good towards future services.
Yeah. So
once again, another way that we're able to use that as an upselling technique to still give them a discount. And if anybody out there, whether it's a man or a woman that might have gift cards or gift certificates, they're probably 80% of them have never been spent and they're still sitting inside their wallets right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so that's another little way that we're kind of still provide value, but save.
Yeah, that's a great example too, because like you said, it's innovative. It helps your customers to commit for long term, and it's probably not used a lot of the time. So it's a win for you. It helps the long term success of the business. That's another great example. Good stuff. So when you're out helping people with their businesses now, what are some of the most exciting things that you're seeing in landscaping today? What are some of the things that really make you excited about the industry and what's happening?
I would say, like when I'm visiting them as a consultant, or
or just you as a business owner in the industry. What are some of the things that you go, man, it's really cool because of this now in the industry?
I think one of the biggest things that I enjoy about running my own landscaping business and helping others as a consultant is I wouldn't say I have it mastered, but I'm pretty close. Is the freedom that running a landscaping business brings. So I honestly feel comfortable, going on a 2 or 3 week vacation right now, knowing that my staff will be able to run the business without me being there.
Wow,
now,
that's cool.
I'm going to have some work to do when I get back, some bills and things to deal with. But general, I have freedom. And so I like to be able to bring that, I like to be able to have that at my own landscaping business and also be able to help other business owners achieve that, as well as help them achieve more financial freedom with the Profit First method. Because also part of Profit First is also debt reduction.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that we often talk with our clients as well, because debt, while it doesn't hurt you in the time that you operate your business, when you go to sell your business, you typically are going to be paying all your debts off.
Mhm.
And that is great because it's in alignment with that. Because when you sell a business, typically it will be an asset sale. And there's some difference in stock and asset sale. I won't get into it, but typically people want to buy an asset, the assets of the business, so they don't have the exposure to any past liabilities. What that means is then, as the seller of the business, you're responsible for all of the debts and the expenses up until the day that you close the sale of that business. So you deliver the business with no debt. You get to keep all the cash and receivables, obviously, but it has to be delivered with no debt. So if you're out buying new equipment in the last couple of years of owning land, any kind of company, really, we landscaping, construction, manufacturing, e-commerce, it doesn't matter. If you're intending, and that will be sold with a business, you're going to have to pay that off. So we really refer to the last few years of owning that business as, you need to really adopt red zone thinking, where, hey, it's a great piece of equipment. I don't really, just because I got the money, and like the year before I decided I was going to do this, I might run out and spend the money because I can take the full depreciation, tax deductions, and some of the other things you can do. It might not be that something I really want to do now that I'm getting closer, because I'm going to have to pay that off before I sell. And essentially it reduces the net proceeds back to me in a
Sure.
sale.
Sure.
So
And so, wouldn't it be wonderful to have a system such as Profit First implemented in your business for 2, 3, 4 years before you make the sale, and have an actual history to show the potential buyer of, this is exactly what we're making. This is the percentages that we're having for owner's pay. We're able to pay all our taxes. We're able to meet cash flow on a consistent basis or have very little debt. You have to have a system in place to be able to show that. And I would guess, because I don't do exit strategies like what you do, but I would sure guess that makes a business much more valuable to an investor
it
than
does.
one has no idea and doesn't.
Yeah, you're right. Well, there's two things that you touched upon while you're here. You can take a vacation and your business still runs pretty normally. That's a great first step into doing it. And the system that you talk about with Profit First is essential, really, to make your business very attractive. Because in order to do what you're doing with Profit First, you do have to have a system. You do have to have job descriptions. You do have to have things that Damon, as the accountant, knows what they have to do. That Damon, as the supervisor of the landscaping crew, knows what they have to do. As Damon, the salesperson in the business, has to know what they do for it to work, right? And
Sure.
and work together well. And that's something that people would certainly see when they go in to buy a business, that it's well run, it's organized, and with Profit First, you've got the metrics to show how the business is running.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, my wife always says, because she does a little bit of some bookkeeping and acts as like I guess you call like a fractional CFO for a few
Yeah.
companies in our area, but need to think about, if you're not already doing this, making sure that you're not intermingling business finances with your personal finances. It really
Yeah.
muddies the water a lot as well.
It does. It does. And that's a great point. And now you can keep them separate too. And this is something that I see some of our clients do. They keep them separate. It doesn't mean you can't deduct them on your taxes at the end of the year by giving your accountant what they need to do that right at the end of the year and do it. But throughout the year, yeah, it does mess things up a bit
Mhm.
if you're, or complicate things a little bit. But yeah,
Sure.
it is. But you make a very good point. From the business standpoint, keeping that out allows you to really see what your business is doing. Because I've come in where people, both sides, think they're making way more money than they are, or way less money than they are, depending upon how they do that, and with everything else in the businesses as well. Because just as someone can be oh, I need to have this new all the time or that new all the time, or, whatever else, and spending that on personal things or things that they really don't need in your business, which I think Profit First is awesome for that, because controlling that operating expense is a lot harder to do when you're very profitable, because it's pretty
Sure.
easy, right? I mean, I've
Hmm.
literally been with clients before that have what I call the equipment habit, and
Okay.
can't drive back. And this is no kidding. Can't drive by a Caterpillar dealership without buying a payloader or a bulldozer or something like that. And I mean, it's not like $10,000, $5,000 things. These are hundreds of thousands of dollars. But when people get, it's hard to keep that. And I think Profit First helps people keep that focus on being reasonable in what they do and keeping their operating expenses in check.
Damon, if I could mention real quick the 3 questions that I tell clients to ask before they make a purchase. And those 3 questions are, is this purchase what I'm about to make good for the business? Answer that question. Is this purchase good for the client? And last question is, can this purchase wait? So answer those questions to yourself. And if it doesn't pass, I guess, the sniff test, don't make the purchase. Right?
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome advice, because it is. It's like I said, it's easy. And I like the way you're talking about with the plates, the different plates, Profit First. If no matter how much money I make, there's only a percentage that goes in there. It doesn't mean like the bucket is huge so that I can spend more of that bucket on what I do. It's like, no, the bucket may be huger, but I only got this percentage of that bucket that I can spend. And if I stay within that, and then you ask the 3 questions, you said, that's even better. That's even better, I think, because it really keeps things clean. Good. Well, what is the one thing that you would tell someone that's in the landscaping industry now that is like, man, I'm just kind of, I'm a little bit, I'm struggling a little bit. And what's one thing, if they just don't have, it's not clicking for them right now, what would you tell them to do?
I would, well, are we talking financially, I guess, for
Well,
business, or the business
let's
just isn't financially doing well?
Yeah, let's just talk
Okay.
about the business is not financially doing well. They seem to have enough work, they seem to be busy, but they just aren't really happy financially with their company.
Sure. I think there's a couple of things. Number one, I would recommend if they're looking to profit from this, they're not going to implement it in full, especially right away. Just go out and open one bank account, title it profit, and just put 1% away starting out.
Okay.
1% away into a profit account. Don't touch it. Don't get it. Heck, put it in a bank an hour away and ignore it, right? But
Yeah.
transfer 1% into that account regularly every time you make a deposit into your income. Okay. The other thing I would probably say, gosh, I would say is most of the time we are seeing landscape business owners taking draws and paying themselves only when they have money. And I think it's really important to know your value and your worth of, to yourself and to your business.
Yeah.
And so I know one thing that I did back, years and years ago, probably 20 years ago, was when I started taking my business seriously at the time, I was like, I need to start paying myself. I know that if I go out and buy a house, buy a vehicle, they're going to want to see how much I actually make. So if you're not really paying yourself something now, go out and just start paying yourself minimum wage, a salary, 40 hours a week, 80 hours weekly, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And if that minimum wage is $12, $14, $15 an hour, pay yourself that so you have a consistent, steady paycheck. I would say that's my
Yeah.
Some other great advice I would give, because that's so important. And if there's still money left over, yeah, take some draws every quarter or end of the year in December before 31st. But pay yourself consistently, because you're the number one person in your business and you have to make it work. So, you come first is what it boils down to.
Well, and I think I tell you what, that is great advice. Like, I can't say across the board how many companies I've talked to where the owner doesn't really take the salary that they should. And it's not because they couldn't, it's because they haven't done what they need to do in controlling cost and other areas and really thinking about their business and starting with that paying themselves consistently at any level. And it
Sure.
is the draw. Yeah. Okay. You might get a little bit of a benefit on taxes, but in the long run, paying yourself consistently and building your business up so you can make that number, whatever you want, is a much better strategy, I believe. Yeah.
Many business owners, they are doing a lot of work, and if they were going to take their efforts and go work for another company,
Yeah.
you might be getting paid $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 a year, being
Yeah.
a foreman or operations manager, whatever that is. You start somewhere to get yourself up to that point if you're
Yeah.
running your own business and taking all the risk.
Yeah. Yeah. That is something that, yes, I'm just thinking about that a minute. So I hope people think about that because, it is really, if you could walk out the door and go work for somebody else and get the same or more money. I'm not saying go do that. I'm saying figure out your business a little bit better, because if you're just doing it to trade into a different job, it's probably not doing what it's supposed to do. Because I think this is universal. When people go into business for themselves, they go in it because they want more freedom and more money. I mean, that's my two things. I always think that to myself, that's why people go into business. And if you do that and it turns out I'm getting paid less money and I'm a slave to the business, I just did the exact opposite of what I wanted.
Sure. And running a business isn't for everybody.
No.
Right? Some people start it and they succeed, and some of them, actually most of them fail, I think is what the things are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But you got to set yourself up properly, and if you need advice, seek advice from somebody, right? Another mentor, a business coach, somebody you trust inside your community.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. Well, Adam, it's been awesome talking to you, and it's so cool because you're applying your the profit first mentality and strategies to the landscaping industry. I think is really appropriate. And I think you're spot on with it, man, because it will help people run their businesses better. And then too, the thing that's really cool about what you're doing, and you and your wife running your own business for as many years and having that experience as well, you're able to test these things real world, implement good solid practices and procedures, and then go out, and that benefits all of your clients as well. So good stuff, man. Good stuff.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Damon.
You bet. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. Thanks, Adam, once again from the Green Executive for being with us on the Faces of Business today. We'll be back again. Actually, I'm taking a bit of a break because I'm on a vacation. And so this is one of them that I haven't been on for a while. I'm going to do that, and we'll be back again in a couple of weeks and rolling with some other great episodes as well. But thanks everyone for being here. We'll be back again soon. Thank you.